If you're watching this video, you're probably looking to learn how you can go about raising private finance from investors. My name's Alfred Dzadey, and I've raised over £3 million from private investors to be able to fund my property acquisitions. So I'm going to share my lessons with you, how I went about raising this £3 million and what you can take away from that to be able to do the same in your journey. So first things first, you never want to come across as being desperate. What do I mean by this? When you go out to try and raise money from people, if you come across like you're needy, as in you need this money, I need to raise £100,000, I need to raise £200,000 for my property deal. It comes across like you're needy and you're very desperate, and this is like a must thing to happen for you. And obviously it is a must, it needs to happen for you, but I think the way you position yourself in that meeting is crucial to attracting that investor. No investor or no person wants to invest in someone that comes across like they need money. It needs to kind of come across like this is a value exchange, i.e. you are providing an opportunity to that individual where they see a return or they see value in, i.e. them lending you money. And it's not, I need money, and therefore they should give you money. So one thing I would say, when you go into these meetings, you do not want to come across as desperate. Another thing I would say as well is, when you are going out to raise money, you need to have this vibe of you're willing to walk away. Just because you're out there looking to borrow money, you might not be in the best financial situation, and the person sitting across the table has the money you need. That doesn't mean that you have to conform to everything they tell you, i.e. if they come into the table and say, hey, I've got 100 grand, happy to lend it at 20%. If 20% doesn't work for you as a return point, you don't offer that as an opportunity. Like, you don't just say, yes, okay, I'm going to figure it out and make it a problem. No. You say, hey, look, unfortunately, that's not something I offer to my investors. I'm normally in the region of X. If it's 10%, whatever the number is, you state the number, you stick by that number. And the person's still adamant they need 20%. So just say, hey, unfortunately, this is something clearly that can't work for both of us, because you obviously wanted 20%, I offer 10%, and unfortunately, we can't come to an agreement on this. So like, I get it, this is not for everyone. And so if it's not for you, that's fine. If it is for you, would love to make it work for you. But you've got to have that standoffish, like, it is what it is. If it's not going to work, I'll just happily carry on and find another investor who's happy with these terms, right? An investor might want a certain security type. You're offering a different security type. And again, trying to negotiate and come to middle ground. If the person is not coming to middle ground and coming to an agreement with yourself, again, it is what it is, right? You just say, hey, look, unfortunately, this is clearly, it's not something I can offer you. And so, unfortunately, in this occasion, it looks like it's not going to work out. Maybe in the future, we can do something together based on what you want. But right now, as it stands, this is what I'm looking to offer. And if it doesn't work for you, and then unfortunately we can't do business. So again, like, for me, I'm very standoffish. Like, I'm here to provide an opportunity, and if it can work for you, great. If it can't, it is what it is. I get that it's not for everyone. So that's one big thing I would say, and I think investors really like that approach. Like, this isn't that you've got your principles about how you want to run your business, and if the investor fits in that principles, great. If it doesn't, they're outside of it, and therefore there's no business to be done. And I'm very strict on that, and that's how I run my investor meetings. The next thing on the list, I'll probably classify as very crucial. This is to put everything in writing. I don't care how long you've had a relationship with this person, whatever, family, friend, maybe it's even an investor you've done business with before. Let's say you agree something over messages or even a phone call, which maybe hasn't been agreed previously or signed before on a previous loan agreement, whatever. Just put everything that's been agreed in writing again, because people change, people forget what they said. It can be he said, she said scenario when things go left for every reason. So you want to protect yourselves at all times. And for me, that was a big lesson I learned in my journey. There's one investor whereby we agreed something kind of verbally, I think even on WhatsApp as well. And they kind of, it just turned out to be like they forgot what they said, or they can't remember what they said, or they had a perception of what they said at the time. And it was a misunderstanding. So one thing I would say is, whatever you do, whatever you agree, put it in writing, get both of you to sign it. If you can record your calls as well, huge benefit, because again, that's where the video evidence is there, right? So you've got a document stating like the agreement, and also the video showing what you guys agreed, and that then settles any disputes that come in the future and say, hey, look, this is what we agreed. Here's the video recording. You can go back and watch it if you're unhappy or anything, and vice versa. If they feel like something was wrong, they can do the same. So it's mutually beneficial, right? Both sides have the documentation to back up what was agreed, and also have the video evidence to again see what was agreed at the time. And so there's no conflicts. Another lesson I learned raising £3 million was monthly returns are far better than paying the returns at the end. And here's why. When an investor invests money with you and they see a monthly payment go into their account, it kind of becomes this addiction of like, they see this paycheck that comes in without having to do a single piece of work. It's like it just drops in the account every single month on the same date. It's like clockwork. Versus 12 months of not seeing a single interest paid. And obviously, yeah, they see the lump sum back with the interest. those two effects are two different effects. For me, I get people that come to me on a monthly basis, and I pay investors on a monthly basis. And I've seen that with those guys, it's very normal for them to get used to seeing that monthly money coming in every single month. And so it becomes an addiction in a sense. They now have normalized seeing a return every single month of their money. So even when they take their money back and they have it for a month, 2 months, they quickly realize actually the money is not working hard anymore. I'm not seeing a paycheck coming from Alfred anymore. How about I go back to Alfred and say, hey, I've got some more money. How about we look at investing? So I've had repeat investors by just doing the monthly stuff versus if I was to do it at the end. And obviously at the beginning, I appreciate if you're starting out, potentially you haven't got a cash flow to be able to service the interest payments. So for that reason, yes, you're going to have to incentivize them to probably do things on the back end. But as you grow and as you build a cash flow around you, you definitely want to move to a more monthly approach just to retain investors on a long-term basis and kind of get them hooked on wanting to invest with you and seeing the benefit of actually investing. Because for me, that monthly payment, like I said, people realize very quickly, damn, I didn't do anything and I got paid £500, £400, £1,000, depends on how much they borrowed you, right? And that's like the easiest money they've ever made, right? And do you know what I mean? It's just a no-brainer from that perspective. When they see that, they're like, yeah, I like what I'm seeing. I want to do more of it. And so if you want to have a long-term investor relationship, for sure, you want to have the monthly approach versus the pay at the end approach. Another important thing that's allowed me to raise £3 million is language. What do I mean by this? So when you're in an investor conversation, especially at the beginning of your journey, looking to raise capital from an individual, might not necessarily have experience, whatever, you might be quick to kind of say things that maybe make you lesser in a conversation, i.e. you might say, oh, this is my first property project. Nobody wants to work with someone that says, maybe you might get someone that wants to do it, but the point is, if you're kind of casting the net out and you're telling everyone, hey, this is my first project, the word first, or I'm a newbie investor, or this is my first deal that I'm doing, just sounds frightening, right? For someone that's worked hard, made a living from their work, saved some money up, and now you're here saying, hey, I've got this opportunity, and you're wanting to put into your first opportunity, it just sounds like a huge risk, right? So nobody's really comfortable, and some people won't be comfortable. So if you want to convert better, you've got to improve on your language of how you position yourself in the meeting. And that doesn't mean lying or telling a lie to an investor. It's just positioning the language. So rather than saying, this is my first opportunity, use the words like next, this is my next opportunity I've got available for you to be able to come in on. That sounds much better and more inviting to an investor. Obviously, if the person actually asks the question, hey, is this your first ever deal? What's your experience doing this? Or is your first ever project? Then obviously state the truth, right? This is my first product at that point, right? At that point, it's like you're gonna have to try and persuade them to still want to invest with yourself through your team, your network, and leverage their experience and say, hey, this isn't like necessarily my first project. Yes, it's my first actual project from my standpoint, but in terms of my team who actually wants executing on this, they have done this several times over. So again, they can build confidence through your team. Say, okay, you know, yes, you might not have personally done it, but the team that's actually going to execute on this have done this several times over, and you might be able to win them over. But the point I'm trying to make here is improve your language to give them confidence and not to create scarcity when it comes to them borrowing you money. Another thing that I learned when it comes to raising finance is you don't have to sell the deal. So when it comes to property deals, a lot of people want to go and like speak about the deal. Hey, I want to look to buy this property at 200 grand. I want to spend 150 grand on the refurb and they're going to revalue at 500 grand. For me, what I've realized is, especially when you're speaking to people that have no idea how this stuff works, all it does is open a can of worms to questions which they're not really necessarily well versed on, and they now start thinking of what else is there involved in this and how is it going to work, what is the actual process, and now you're getting into like granular details, and you have to now in essence teach someone what it is you're doing, and that's not the purpose of what you're there to do. You're there to present an opportunity to them whereby they lend you money and they get a fixed return, and therefore they're not necessarily interested in the deal per se. And so I've never had to sell a deal to get an investor to come in. And the way I try to handle this objection about talking about the deal is for most investors, their biggest thing is they want their money protected, right? And their return paid out. So a deal going left, I can't go back to my investor and saying, hey, you know, we spoke about this deal 6 months, 12 months ago, and I said these were the numbers. Actually, we didn't achieve those numbers and it's gone relatively bad, and can I now pay a lesser return? For them, they're like, no, why would I get a lesser return? We spoke and we agreed, and I'm expecting that. So again, you can kind of dismiss a deal being relevant. Obviously, a deal can be relevant if they're coming as equity partners and they're coming as business partners, JV partners. That's different. They need to understand how the business model works, because they're equity partners is actually in essence a risk, right? You don't necessarily own that money. They're in as equity, right? So if the deal goes bad for a reason, then it is what it is. They came in as equity partners, and you don't necessarily owe that money. So you both will start. So that's a different thing. But in generally speaking, if you're looking to lend money, you don't have to speak about a deal. I've raised £3 million. I've never had to speak about a deal. It might sound insane, but again, when you know what you're doing, it works. The next thing I want to probably bring to you as a lesson is you don't have to have experience to be able to raise money. It might sound insane, but that is the truth. That's been my reality. I've raised £3 million and I've not had to prove that I had experience on my first deal to be able to raise money. How this works is when someone's obviously questioning your experience, you have a team. And I'd like to think anyone going into this venture of investing in property are utilizing a team, are leveraging a team. So they're not like in essence having another job, they're running a business whereby they've got experts who've done this several times over who are going to go out there and execute on this. So that's who you're leveraging. So the experience qualification comes through the team. You as an individual, all you're doing is steering the ship. So you need to have knowledge to be able to raise money is what I would say, but you don't need to have experience, because if you can put a team together and you know how to manage a team, that team who are experienced in doing the thing you're trying to do can go out there and execute on your behalf. And so for me, my experience has been you don't need any experience to be able to raise money. Again, if you know what you're doing, how to leverage your team and network, it's easy to access money without no experience. So the next point probably leads on nicely. To be able to obviously raise money, I believe the bare minimum you need to have in your arsenal is knowledge. So knowledge in the terms of the idea you're looking to execute on, do you have a clear roadmap plan to be able to execute that to the T? And so if you do, that gives you confidence to speak to an investor, having the know-how and knowing that you can truly go out there and allocate the money will be safe. And you know that if someone wants to say yes to you, you're not going to feel like I'm risking spending the money on this deal because you don't know what you're doing. So for me, knowledge is the prerequisite to be able to raise money. So anyone looking to go and raise money, for me, that is a bare minimum you need to have. You need to have invested yourself or look to get educated, be mentored, whatever it is, to make sure you are confident in the process that when you're taking this money, there is no fear around allocating to a deal. When I go out raising money, there's never a question in my mind of how the money's going to come back or am I going to lose this money. I am super confident in the process. I know exactly how I'm going to allocate the money to the deal. Everything's done. It's literally allocating money to a deal because I know my numbers and it's all been qualified by professionals. It's no longer my opinion. I'm not guessing my way. I'm not guessing my evaluation. I know everything before I start day one on the project. Before I even sign the loan, I know all the numbers. So there's confidence in what I'm about to do, and hence when I go out raising money, I don't feel like I need to have done some deals before I go and raise the money. You don't need to have done some deals to go and raise some money. You need to have knowledge and a process that's been proven to therefore go out and feel confident taking someone else's money and utilizing it for a deal. So I hope that makes sense. The next point is when you're raising money, your closest networks is the easiest finance raise you will do. So when it comes to trying to raise money, you've got to start with your closest network. That's what was my experience. I didn't go out to try and raise money from strangers at the beginning. I went to my work colleagues, some friends. One of my family members decided to invest in me as well. Those were kind of the people that I went to as a beginning point. And the whole terminology of investors, right? For me, I hate the word investors. Investors are people. The people around you. It could be your neighbor, it could be your postman, it could be your person you go to gym with, your PT, I don't know, barber, anyone you interact with who's, come out some money, maybe has a good paying job, whatever. One thing I'll say is never judge a book by its cover. Don't judge someone's situation to assess whether they have money or not, right? More time, people you think don't have money have a lot of money, and the people you think have money don't have any money. So for me, everyone's the same level playing field. I provide an opportunity and I see who comes in and says yes or no, whatever. And so if you're looking to raise money, start with your immediate circle, utilize that circle to allow you to build your credibility, to build your brand, to build awareness of what it is you're doing. And then people, i.e. strangers who don't necessarily know who you are, will start to build confidence around your process, what you do, and therefore come and say, hey, I see you helping other people get a better return on money. How can I get involved? What's the process of this working? I'd want to get involved in something like this. So that's how you start to build your network and start to get strangers coming to you to wanting to invest in you. And that's the whole game, right? You don't want to keep going out there trying to raise money from people. You want people to start to come to you to raise money. Like at the beginning, yes, I was the one going out there and looking to raise money from individuals, but now the table's turned. I've got credibility, I've got experience, I've won awards, I've been featured in more like newspapers. There's so much data around me publicly, people can go and make their minds up. And therefore, when they see me as a credible person to come to. So people just approach me and say, hey, Alfred, I've got some money and see you've helped others get a better return on their money. How does it work? And would love to have a call with yourself and see what opportunities you have available. And that's the long play. You'll and to be fair, if you follow the process, you will get there. in the end. So 100% you want to start with your closest network because that's the best place to start. The last point I want to make when it comes to raising finance from investors is referrals. Referrals are so powerful. Trust me, these are the easiest finance raises you ever do, because trust me, when someone refers their friend and says, hey, Alfred is a great guy, I've done some business with him, I've lent him some money, and they come in, it's like they already trust them. And that person they're probably taking or speaking to about this opportunity, right? They probably already trust them when it comes to money. And that's why they're then going to approach you and have the conversation, right? So for me, whenever it's come to referrals, there's been very little need for conversation. They've already understood everything. They've already been like, I've already been vouched for by their friend or the person that's referring me. And so it's more about, hey, like, I'm this person, get to know me, and what's the process, and like what's the papers, and how do we move forward with this in that sense. So it's like pretty much a done deal. I have never lost a referral. Like when someone's referred me, say, hey, Alfred, I've got a friend who wants to invest, and we've gone to call that person, the person's always ended up investing. So for me, they have been the easiest people. And again, that won't happen on day one, obviously. That will happen as you progress and you provide a great service to people. But the idea is, you want to get to great heights, right? You've got to be true to yourself and do a good job at what it is you do, i.e. being able to borrow money, pay a return, and pay on time, more importantly as well. So investors who you work with start to introduce you to their wider network. Because guess what? If someone can lend you 100 grand, for example, what are the chances that they have someone else in their network who can do the same or even more? So if you do a good job to them and do a good service to them, guess what? They're going to point you to more of their network to be able to do some deals with. So 100% referrals are the best and easiest way when it comes to raising finance. All right, guys. So these are the lessons that I have learned when it comes to raising finance from private investors. Obviously, if you're interested in learning how to do this for yourself, I do actually help people learn how to raise capital. I've got a mastermind community of people who have been able to raise millions of pounds combined as a community. If you're interested, I'll left a link in the description for you to be able to reach out to my team and learn more about how we can be of help to yourself. And if not, that's fine. I shall see you on the next video.